Buenos dias and good morning to all our Christopher leaders and our families and our community members. We are so excited to have you all here this morning for our 2022 School Awards Assembly. There's so many exciting award winners today, and I can't wait to share it with all of you. So let's get ready to begin. Are you guys ready? All right, here we go. Our first award is the Technology Award. These are for students who do really well with technology and will hope one day will be a future engineer or run a computer lab. All right, so the first one is from Miss James' class, Justin Subia. From Miss Dandridge's class, Alexandra Deanda Garcia. From Miss Gallardo's class, Carlos Canel Hercules. From Miss Kay's class, Josiah Alhambra. From Mrs. Garcia's class, Iker Tinoco. From Mrs. Fong's class, Baylin Texera Lane. From Mr. Aguilar's class, Ixamar Madriz. From Mrs. Roberts' class, Isabella Young and Scott Wood. From Mrs. Renjifo's class, Esteban Vasquez. From Mrs. Overby's class, Liam Maxwell Agreda and Tiana Honorith. From Mrs. Piazzola's class, Josue Vasquez and Diego Quiros. From Mr. Duong's class, Sebastian Talarico. From the STEM class, 7th grade, Nate Quinn. From Mr. Britton's class, Jaden Trong. Congratulations to all our technology winners. And now for our Leadership Award. From Mrs. James' class, Araya Heredia. From Mrs. Dandridge's class, Leonardo Ramirez Lomeli and Yaritza Hernandez Tapia. From Mrs. Gallardo's class, Iker Quintero Andrade. From Mrs. Kay's class, Brooklyn Reynaga. From Mrs. Garcia's class, Alexandra Pascual. From Mrs. Fong's class, Jericho Fernandez and Brian Lamb. From Mr. Aguilar's class, Stephanie Ramirez Lomeli. From Mrs. Roberts' class, Isaiah Harina and Silali Acosta Amaya. From Ms. Renjifo's class, Madison Ceja. From Mrs. Overby's class, Elizabeth Carrasco and Crystal Gonzalez. From Mrs. Piazzola's class, John Miranda and Valeria Ramirez. From Mr. Duong's class, Victoria Contreras. From Mrs. Sin's class, Stefani Amaya. And from Mr. Britton's class, Yesenia Fonseca. Congratulations to all our leadership winners. Our next award is going to be the Science Award. From Mrs. James' class, Mario Barrera. From Mrs. Dandridge's class, Mackenzie Simpson. From Mrs. Gallardo's class, Austin Schmidt. From Mrs. K's class, Janae Gonzalez. From Mrs. Garcia's class, Oliver Simpson. From Mrs. Fong's class, Miles Harina. From Mr. Aguilar's class, Ricardo Martinez. From Mrs. Roberts' class, Kai Verano and Nate Dorado. From Mrs. Renjifo's class, Aaron Portillo. From Mrs. Overby's class, Philip Vu and Angel Laura de Jesus. From Mrs. Piazzola's class, Christian Munoz Arzate and Brian Lopez. From Mr. Duong's class, Maria Liana Angel. From Mrs. Sin's class, Tiago Salazar and Anthony Angel. And for Mr. Britton's class, Sebastian Palafox Becerra. Congratulations to all our science winners. All right, our next award is going to be the Math Award. In Mrs. James' class, we have Robbie Bernal and Anavea Vallarta. From Mrs. Dandridge's class, Hector Alejandro Padilla Salazar and Angel Delgado Morales. From Mrs. Gallardo's class, Angel Murillo Almendares. From Mrs. K's class, Troy Honorith. From Mrs. Garcia's class, Jace Roberts. From Mrs. Fong's class, Ian Garden and Keon Kong. From Mr. Aguilar's class, Helen Huizar. From Mrs. Roberts' class, Audrey Alvarez and Xavier Gonzalez Salceda. From Mrs. Renjifo's class, Sergio Estrada. From Mrs. Overby's class, Issa Reed and Kiana Din. From Mrs. Piazzola's class, Giovanni Madriz and Melanie Padilla. From Mr. Duong's class, Ingrid Diaz Munoz. From Miss Sin's class, Nate Huyn and Joel Munoz Arzate. And from Mr. Britton's class, Mateo Madriz. Congratulations to all our winners in the math category. All right, now it's for our Language Arts Award. Here we go. From Mrs. James' class, Maya Baron and Melanie Pitzer. From Miss Dandridge's class, Estefany Ayon Toro. From Mrs. Gallardo's class, Olincel Levi Romero. From Mrs. K's class, Athena Zamaran. From Mrs. Garcia's class, Luca Celada. From Mrs. Fong's class, Abby Tran and Aliyah Subia. From Mr. Aguilar's class, Ariana Flores. From Mrs. Roberts' class, Camina Luong and Isabella Tello Moreno. From Ms. Renjifo's class, Esteban de la Cruz Garcia. From Mrs. Overby's class, Presley Lasui and Sarai Agustin Mendoza. From Mrs. Piazzola's class, Amy Narillo and Diego Huizar. From Mr. Duong's class, Kaden Nguyen. From Mrs. Sin's class, Derek Trong and Salvador Guerrero. And from Mr. Britton's class, Jessica Gonzalez Curiel. Congratulations to all our language arts winners. Now it's time for our art award. In Mrs. James' class, Lincoln Valdovinos and Yasmin Harina. In Mrs. Dandridge's class, Mariana Nieto Alcocer and Giovanni Perez Gonzalez. From Mrs. Gallardo's class, Yela Ruano Ledesma. From Mrs. K's class, Anna Nguyen. From Mrs. Garcia's class, Salvador Almanza. From Mrs. Fong's class, Nikita Nagy and Vincent Heredia. From Mr. Aguilar's class, Ascension Cepeda. From Mrs. Roberts' class, Bella Nguyen and Anamika Sin. From Ms. Renjifo's class, Linda Villa. From Mrs. Overby's class, Andrea Solis and Olivia Capote. From Mrs. Piazzola's class, Daniel Tevez and Stephanie Gomez. From Mr. Duong's class, Aradna Sin. From Ms. Sin's class, Jose Alvarez Diaz. And from Mr. Britton's class, Desiree Reyes. Congratulations to all our art award winners. All right, our next award is for the Citizenship Award. These awards go to students who are always helpful, great to get along, and always takes care of others in the classroom. Here we go. From Mrs. James' class, Mario Murillo and Nelly Silva. From Mrs. Dandridge's class, Michael Sanchez Ramos. From Mrs. Gallardo's class, Camila Tinoco Arias. From Mrs. K's class, Samantha Portillo. From Mrs. Garcia's class, Anderson Kunprasu. From Mrs. Fong's class, Alexa Solano Silva and Valentina Saplina. From Mr. Aguilar's class, Sofia Garcia Ruiz. From Mrs. Roberts' class, Michael Zamaron and Jalen Fernandez. From Mrs. Renjifo's class, Leonardo Contreras. From Mrs. Overby's class, Danisa Lopez Garcia and Celia Mesa. From Ms. Piazzola's class, Juan Pablo Jimenez Almanza and Jacqueline Alvarez. From Mr. Duong's class, Robert Bocanegra. From Ms. Sin's class, Jade Reed and Jonathan Pena Guisar. And from Mr. Britton's class, Eric Tercios. Congratulations to all our citizenship winners. Our next award is a really important award. It's the Most Improved Student Award, whether this be with behavior, whether it be with work habits, whether it would be with grades, or all of the above. So let's get ready for our Most Improved Student Awards. From Mrs. James' class, Ariana Yanez and Noah Perry. From Mrs. Dandridge's class, Valeria de la Cruz. From Mrs. Gallardo's class, Tyler Lasich Ortiz. From Mrs. K's class, Noah Renteria. From Ms. Garcia's class, Stephanie Akia. From Mrs. Fong's class, Leila Sotomayor and Isabella Castillo Contreras. From Mr. Aguilar's class, Karen Canel Hercules. From Mrs. Roberts' class, Alexander Alvarado Sanchez and Sadea Leo. From Ms. Renjifo's class, Eric Sandoval. From Ms. Overby's class, Joseph Hermosillo and Yarir Ruiz Jimenez. From Ms. Piazzola's class, Alexis Ruiz and Melanie Almanza. From Mr. Duong's class, Master Mailo. From Ms. Sin's class, Kimberly Alejo Ceja. And from Mr. Britton's class, Pedro Del Rio Lozoya. Congratulations to all our Most Improved winners. And now, for Academic Achievement Award. This award goes to students who throughout the year have worked hard to maintain good working habits and to hold in some class good grades. Here we go. From Mrs. James' class, Araya McPherson. From Mrs. Dandridge's class, Juliana Celeda. From Mrs. Gallardo's class, Angeles Castillon Almendares. From Mrs. K's class, Natividad Bautista Juarez. From Mrs. Garcia's class, Nathan Solorio. From Mrs. Fong's class, Kaylani Gonzalez and Amia Padilla. From Mr. Aguilar's class, Kimberly Sanchez. From Mrs. Roberts' class, Jessie Fajardo and Kayla Castillon. From Mrs. Renjifo's class, Guillermo Charbel Giovanni Alejandro Serrano. From Mrs. Overby's class, Quillen Dawson and Ingrid Arciosa. From Mrs. Piazzola's class, Fatima Cepeda and Isaac Toro. From Mr. Duong's class, James Castillo. From Mrs. Sin's class, Nate Huynh and Leslie Garcia Almanza. And from Mr. Britton's class, Gabriel Aranda. Congratulations to all our academic achievement winners. And now it's time to do our honor roll and principals list winners. Honor roll and principal list goes to classes that do grades. And the only classes that do grades right now are 7th and 8th. So, honor roll goes to students who've earned a 3.0 to a 3.49, which is a B average. All right, here we go. Starting with Miss Sin's class. Joanna Ojeda Almanza, Joel Munoz Arzate, Angelique Santillanes Barajas, Helen Cervantes Landeverse, Miranda Rodriguez, Jasmine Tercios, Kadrian Tai, Sal Guerrero. From Mr. Britton's class for the fall of 2021, Dennis Escobar, Yesenia Fonseca, Jonathan Gonzalez Corona, Jessica Gonzalez Curiel, Carter Kong, Sebastian Palafox Becerra. And for the spring of 2022, Yesenia Fonseca, Carter Kong, Mateo Madriz, Alonso Nelson, Daria Reyes, and Eric Tercios. Congratulations to all our honor roll winners. And now for principal's list. Principal's list goes to students who got a 3.5 to a 4.0. This is an A average. From Miss Sin's class, Leslie Garcia Almanza. From Mr. Britton's class, for the fall of 2021, Gabriel Aranda, Pedro Del Rio Lozoya, Mateo Madriz, Kelly Sandoval Solozano, Jaden Trong. For the spring of 2022, Gabriel Aranda, Pedro Del Rio Lozoya, Dennis Escobar, Jonathan Gonzalez Corona, Jessica Gonzalez Curiel, Sebastian Palafox Becerra, Kelly Sandoval Solozano, and Jaden Trong. Congratulations to all those students for working so hard. All right, now it's for the Perfect Attendance Award. Perfect attendance means they never missed a day of school and weren't tardy. So, we have 5 perfect attendance winners. From Mr. Britton's class, Pedro Del Rio Lozoya. From Mrs. K's class, Troy Honore. From Mr. Britton's class, Carter Kong. From Mrs. Piazzola's class, Giovanni Madriz. And from Mr. Britton's class, Mateo Madriz. Congratulations to our perfect attendance winners. Now, I want to do some special awards. These 3 students received these special awards from the district and were honored at the district already. But because they were so important, we want to be able to share it again today. Student Vision Award. Student Vision Award goes to 2 students who are outstanding in the school. Not only are they work hard in their classroom, but do well to help others and are well liked. From Ms. Gallardo's class, Nikolai Mikelon. And from Mrs. Piazzola's class, Isaac Toro. Our 3rd special award goes to a student who's been working hard throughout their school years here, and that's the Every Student Succeeding Award. And this award goes to Gary Jim from Mr. Duong's class. Congratulations to these 3 students. All right, the final award that I want to give out today is a reclassification certificate. This certificate goes to students who have worked hard in 2 languages, and we can officially say that they are bilingual, both in Spanish and in English. So, the award goes to Joanna Ojeda Almanza, Pedro Del Rio Lozoya, Ingrid Diaz Munoz, Troy Honorith, Helen Huizar, Nikolai Mikhailov, Aaron Portillo, Guillermo Charbel Giovanni Alejandro Serrano Jimenez, and Abby Tran. Congratulations, not to just these winners, but to all of you who received an award today. Keep working hard, keep making a difference, and keep doing your best. We are so proud of all of you. And know that if you didn't get one today, there's opportunity again next year. All right? So, all right, leaders, have a good one. Thank you to all our families who were here, and congratulations to you all.